Kachunga, my friends, Kachunga, the time has arrived. It's Saturday. I am Rev, Vicar. Yes, the show is completely mad, as usual. I'm sure you can stand by me now. As I'm sure you can know me by now. This show is completely round the bend. Yes. I always like to start the share. Like to start the show.
Welcome, launch.
No, not Falcon Punch. No, Falcon. No, I like to start the show with my normal. If you haven't done so already, please like the video at the end to show me you like the show, like the madness of the show. And if you haven't done so already, and you'd like to know when more stuff's coming out, more stuff is coming out, then please subscribe to my channel. It's just and blah 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 blah. You want to know when these videos are coming out? These videos are coming out. All you need to do is ring that bell. Ring that bell. Ring the bell. A ding a dong. Ding a ling a ling. Right. As you know, I like to start my show. With a no, not yet. You don't laugh yet because the joke is coming up. I'm going to start with the joke right now. Anyway, Sally and Jake are getting married, and they can't afford to go on a honeymoon. They can't afford to buy their own house, so they decide to move in with Jake's family. So the wedding goes on well, extremely well. No, I haven't done the punchline yet. Anyway, see.
No!
Yes. So they had the party, and it's the following morning. And as Jake's younger brother, Tommy, goes up to his mum. He says, Mum, is Sally and Jake up yet?
No!
She said. Well, you know what I think, she said. And Tommy's mum went, No, I don't know what you think. I don't want to know what you think. Ah, says Tommy. He walks off. 12 hours later, he comes back and he goes, Mum, is Sally and Jake up yet?
No!
You know what I think? No, said his mum. No, I don't know what you think. Look, I want to know what you think, she said. So the hours went on. About 5 o'clock, young Tommy comes up to his mum. He goes, Mum, is Sally and Jake up yet?
No!
His mum replied, You know what I think? Tom replied. No, I don't know what you think, she replied. I don't want to. Tell me what you think. Well, Mum, last night, Dick came in and asked me for my tub of Vaseline. Why he asked me for Vaseline, I don't know, but he asked me for Vaseline. But I accidentally gave him my super glue for doing my aeroplanes instead. Yes, now you can laugh. You can laugh now. Delayed with the laughter there. No, you're taking the mickey. Now you're taking the mickey. It wasn't that funny. Oh, I don't know. There you go. That's the madness. This is my madness over and done with. I thought it wasn't that funny. I thought it was quite funny. I thought it was rather amusing. I thought it was amusing. Have a cow, man. Have a cow, man. Have a cow, man. Oh, what can we say to that? Yeah, indeed. Have a cow, man. Hey. And that cow's making a trunk call. Yes, I know. Oh dear.
You are a huge nerd.
Well, true. I am. Anyway. In 1969, something major happened. Something majorly happened. An event so big, it changed the course of history. And no, it wasn't the year I was born. I was born 1 year later. No, it was not indeed the year I was born.
You're an idiot. Silence, Earthling!
Really? Yeah, see, even the dolphins are joining in on this video. Even the dolphins are joining in. So, yes, millions of people, not just conspiracy theorists, but we have not been told the complete truth regarding NASA's Apollo space program of the late 60s and early 70s. The Apollo missions, in particular Apollo 11, certainly begs the question: how did one of the greatest human endeavors in history become one of the greatest theories known? Blah, 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 blah. Greatest conspiracies known. Did man land on the moon? Some say yes, some say no. Both sides of the argument can produce scientific facts. Both can produce pictures of proof. Both can produce recorded audio. How does an ordinary person ascertain who is right and who is wrong? The truth of the matter is, there are simply too much scientific facts and contradictions by NASA themselves, that supports that we didn't do it, side. We didn't do it, side. Well, yes. In fact, there are certain questions that cannot be answered by the "we did it" group without incriminating themselves and drawing laughter from a crowd. Laughter from a crowd. Laughter from a crowd. What do we do with that? Laughter from a crowd. See, laughter from a crowd. Like a NASA scientist who stated in 2008, it would be 15 years before we have technology to go to the moon. This statement is very strange, seeing though 50 years earlier we supposedly had the technology as we sent six-man US Apollo missions to the moon between 1969, before I was born, and 1972, 2 years after I was born. Oh. But further to the "we didn't go" side, in 2014, 46 years after the moon landing, NASA engineer Kelly Smith stated in an educational video, difficulties faced by the Orion spacecraft launch on December the 5th, 2014. He said, "As we get further away from Earth," we ran out of space. No. As we get further away from Earth, we will pass through the Van Allen belt. It's not the belt that holds up the clouds either. Before you even think about saying that. Area of dangerous radiation. Radiation like this can harm the guidance systems, onboard computers, or other electronics on Orion. Naturally, we have to pass through this danger zone twice. Once up, and right down. Orion's protective shielding will be put to the test as the vehicle cuts through the waves of radiation. Sensors aboard will record radiation levels for scientists to study. We must solve these challenges before we spend before we send people through this region of space. What was that? We must solve these challenges before we send people through the Van Allen belt. NASA has supposedly already sent 12 astronauts through the Van Allen belt during the Apollo missions, nearly 50 years ago. Now, in 2014, NASA was saying the deadly radiation problem is yet to be solved. Really? Really? Aruga! Aruga! Yeah, see? Now, before I go on any further, I want you to know when I read these, I read this from someone who stands right in the middle. I have my own thoughts about this. But I don't like to push my own personal thoughts into the actual question because I like to be either or either. You know, I'll come to my own conclusions at the end, but I'm just presenting facts as I get them. A thought-provoking side note. Every year on certain days, the United States celebrates national pride-motivated holidays. President's Day, Independence Day, Columbus Day, to state a few. Yet the day of their greatest scientific and technological achievement, the moon landing, will be still forever. Walking on the moon. Unacknowledged as a holiday. Why? Could it be man never landed on the moon and the powers to be don't want to answer relevant moon landing questions every single year on the 20th or 21st of July? Surely a piece of the puzzle for the didn't move it slotted in nicely. Now, Apollo missions must be carefully considered against the backdrop of the Cold War against the USSR, back in the USSR, and the USA, communism versus capitalism. During the 50s and 60s, this war was psychological, not physical, and was fought by spies and counter-spies, with each country portraying itself as having the strongest technical capabilities. The fact is, during the early to late 50s, the USA concentrated on nuclear weapons whilst the Russians were exploring space with their Sputniks. In 1961, the Russians were getting space travel down pat, and the USA realised they had concentrated on the wrong weapon, nuke instead of space. To overcome this psychological and technological advantage held by the Russians, the then President John F. Kennedy declared by the end of the decade the USA would not only land men on the moon, but return them safely back. Did you know? Yeah, I'm putting this in this. I'm putting it has come back with did you know moment. The show. Did you know 11 Apollo astronauts were mysteriously killed before making their mission? 3 burnt to death in the test capsule. 7 died in 6 separate plane crashes, and 1 died in a car crash. Finding out rightly coincident, or did they agree to fall? They did rewind. Highly unlikely coincidence, or did they agree to fooling? Rewind again. Highly unlikely coincidence, or did they not agree to fooling the world? A Cold War gag. Reports about being supposedly warned off the moon are true. Warned off the moon? Warned off the moon? What are we talking about? Walking on the moon. Walking on the moon. What are we talking about? Being warned off the moon. It's as if they were saying. Yeah. Right. Let's go back to that again because, you know, I've obviously lost my space. So we have to. Yeah. If reports about being supposedly warned off the moon are true, we will never go back. If we do, it won't be manned missions. It will be with kinetic weapons. And now the proof. It didn't happen. How do we know the moon landing was faked. The theory that the moon landings were faked or hoped for the US government to assert their victory in the space race over Russia is something which had grown in popularity over time. I was listed some of the proposed evidence to suggest that the moon landings were hoaxes. I tried to include NASA's explanations to each entry to provide an objective personality so we can go along, okay? Now, the first one is one of the most obvious, I'll say it again, obvious, is the waving flag. Conspiracy theorists have pointed out that when the first moon ever walking on the moon. When the first moon landing was shown on live television, viewers could clearly see the American flag waving and fluttering as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin planted it. Photos of the landing also seemed to show rippling in the breeze, such as the image above, which clearly showed a fold in the flag. The obvious problem here is that there's no air in the moon's atmosphere, and therefore no wind to cause the flag to blow. Countless explanations have been put forward to disprove this phenomenon as anything unusual. NASA claimed that the flag was stormed in a thin tube and the rippled effect was caused by it being unfurled before being planted. Other explanations include the ripples are caused by the reaction force of the astronauts touching the aluminium pile, which is shown to shake in the video footage. Theory number 2. The lack of an impact crater. I'll say it again. Lack of an impact crater. The crane. Oh, God, I'm losing it. The claim goes on as follows. Had NASA really landed on the moon, we must live forever walking on the moon. Had NASA really landed on the moon, there would be a blast crater underneath the lunar module to mark its landing. On any video footage or photography of the landings, no crater is visible, almost as though the module wasn't placed there. The surface of the moon is covered in fine lunar dust, and even this doesn't seem to have been displaced in photographic evidence. Much like waving flag theory, however, the lack of an impact crater has a slew of potential explanations. NASA maintains that the module required significantly less thrust in the low gravity conditions than it would have done on Earth. The surface of the moon itself is solid rock, so a blast crater probably wouldn't be feasible anyway. The same way that an airplane doesn't leave a crater when it rushes down on a concrete airstrip. And we get to the next one. Sorry, that comes from nowhere.
I apologise for nothing.
Well, I'm not going to apologise. No, I'm not. Multiple light sources. Yes, multiple light sources. On the moon, there's only one strong light source. Sun. So it's fair to suggest that all shadows should run parallel to one another. But this was not the case during the moon landing. Videos of photographers' photographs clearly show that shadows fall in different directions. Conspiracy theorists suggest this must mean multiple light sources are present, suggesting that the landing photos were taken on a film set. One shot, studio lighting representing the sun is seen reflecting off a black background. A photograph effect couldn't happen in the darkness of space and can only reflect off a background. Busted! NASA has attempted to claim uneven landscapes on the strange shadows, with subtle bumps and hills on the moon's surface causing the discrepancies. This explanation has been tossed out the window by some theorists. How could hills cause? See, this how you can tell it's a live show. I trip on my words. Rah! This explanation has been tossed out the window by some theorists. How could hills cause such large angular differences? Next one. It is. No, it's positive. It's positive. They're positive words. Honestly, they are. Well, you know, it's going a bit mad. It's going a bit mad. Van Allen radiation belt, and not the one you put round your trousers. In order to reach the moon, astronauts had to pass through what is known as the Van Allen radiation. This belt is tied round to stop the trousers falling down the planet's. No, that's wrong, that's wrong. This belt is held in place by Earth's magnetic field and stays perpetually in the same place. It's like a prime minister, never moves, you know, can't go over. Apollo missions to the moon marked the first ever attempts to transport living humans through the belt. Through the belt. Conspiracy theorists contend that the sheer levels of radiation would have put the astronauts en route to the moon, despite the layers of aluminium coating the exterior of the spaceship. NASA has countered this argument by emphasizing the short amount of time it took the astronauts to traverse the belt, meaning they received only small doses of radiation. And that sort of tells you what I think about that theory, doesn't it? I mean, that tells you what I think about their counter there. I'm feeling a bit flushed, yeah. The unexplained object. After photographers photographs of the moon. Ismail, stop moving, you're making a racket. After photographs of the moon landing were released, theorists were quick to notice a mysterious object in the reflection of an astronaut's helmet on the Apollo 12 mission. The object appears to be hanging from a rope of wire and has no reason to be there at all, leading some to suggest it's an overhead spotlight typically found in film studios. Resemblance is questionable given the poor quality of the photograph, but the mystery remains as to why something is being suspended in midair or lack of air on the moon. We shall live forever, walking on the moon. The lunar module in other photographs appears to have no extension from it that matches the photo. The object still remains totally unexplained. Slow motion walking and hidden cables. In order to support claims that the moon landing was shot in the studio, conspiracy theorists had to account for the apparent low gravity conditions, which must have been mimicked by NASA. It has been suggested that if you take a moon landing footage and increase the speed of the film by 2.5, astronauts appear to be moving in Earth's gravity. As for the astronauts' impressive jump height, which is impossible to perform in Earth's gravity, hidden cables and wires have been suggested as giving the astronauts some extra height. In some screenshots, outlines of alleged hidden cables can be seen. Lack of stars. Superstar! Superstar! Yes, lack of stars. Yes. No. One compelling argument for the moon landing hoax, I tell you, the total lack of stars in any other photographic video evidence. If I see photographs, I say photographers. If I see photographers, I say, yeah. Are no clouds on the moon. The stars are perpetually visible and significantly brighter than what we see through the filter of Earth's atmosphere. The argument here is that NASA would have found it impossible to map out the exact location of all stars for the hoax without being rumbled, and therefore let them out intentionally, falling back on an excuse that the quality of the photographs washes them out, an excuse they did actually give. Some photographs are high quality, however, and yet still no stars are shown. Certainly eerie, considering you take pictures of the stars from Earth in much lower quality and still see them. Please excuse the yawning, it comes from nowhere. Whenever I do videos, I yawn. I don't know why. Oh, no! Sea rock, not the C as in SEA rock, C as in the letter C rock. Why? You'll find out. You will find out.
Oh, sexy girlfriend!
Where'd that come from? This is about moon landing, not about girlfriends. One of the most famous photos from the moon landing shows a rock in the foreground with what appears to be the letter C engraved into it. The letter appears to be almost perfectly symmetrical. That means it folds over perfectly and matches, meaning it is unlikely to be a natural occurrence. It has been suggested that the rock is simply a prop, with the C used as a marker by the alleged film crew. The set designer could have turned the rock the wrong way, accidentally exposing the marking to the camera. NASA have been giving conflicting excuses for the letter. On one hand, blaming a photographic developer for adding the letter as a practical joke, while on the other hand saying that it may simply have been a stray hair which got tangled up somewhere in a developing process. Once again, all that to me is that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what it is. Exactly what it is. The layered crosshairs. Cameras used by astronauts during the moon landing had a multitude of crosshairs to aid with the scaling and direction. These are imprinted over the top of all photographs. Some of the images, however, clearly show the crosshairs behind objects in the scene, implying that photographs may have been edited or doctored after being taken. The photograph shown above is not an isolated occurrence. Many objects are shown to be in the front of crosshairs, including the American flag in one picture and the lunar rover in another. Conspiracy theories have suggested NASA printed the man-made objects over a legitimate photograph of the moon to hoax the landing. Although if they really planned on doing this, then why would they use crosshairs in the first place? It's a mystery. It's a mystery. It's a mystery. And I haven't got a clue. It's a mystery. I don't know what to do. Yeah. Mystery. It's a mystery. Oh God, what am I doing? I'm singing. I'm trying to sing. Yes. Now, Buzz Aldrin in consecutive Apollo 11 photos changes from white gloves to dark grey gloves, white gloves, and back to dark grey. There was never a burnt print under the lunar lander, nor was there a dust dirt on the landing pod fleet, as it was just set gently onto a stage. There are many pictures which show moon rovers with no wheel tracks in front or behind them, as though they were set down into place, even though there are footprints all around. So when the rover went, it should left some wheel tracks behind it, is what that one is trying to say. What that one is trying to say. There are shots that appear out of sequence in the timetable given. There are shots which show camera crosshairs being overlaid onto the original. Did you know? In the 6 moon missions, total time on the moon amounted to 4,834 minutes, and the total number of photographs taken was 5,771. This means they were taking an average of one photo every 50 seconds, covering vast distances, all while supposedly doing other many tasks, collecting rocks, planting flags, making repairs, driving the river, etc., etc., etc. Now, NASA made all networks record their feed for TV broadcast. Broadcast.
I hate you all so much.
Well, I don't. I love you all, but you know, that's my minions in the background. My minions in the background. Yeah, going completely nuts. So NASA made all networks record their feed for TV broadcast. So that's why we only ever see the grainy recording of a recording Dear mother. And now NASA says they lost the original high definition video and data telemetry tapes, so they can never be verified. Blueprints and designs of certain machines are missing from both NASA and the companies which have supposedly constructed them such as the Apollo lunar module and rover. The Van Allen belt Russians could never get beyond because of intense radiation that requires 4 feet of lead shielding, too heavy to rocket into orbit. And in 1969-70, the Van Allen belt was at its 11-year cycle peak radiation. Yet somehow American astronauts and their film were able to survive this without shielding. There are no stars in the moon videos. It's complete darkness. They couldn't make a perfect model in the studio. Even the planetarium now can only be seen in absolute darkness. Spotlighting from the sun would block out the star lighting. So cover this by saying the sun is so bright on the moon that the astronauts couldn't remember seeing stars either. It's making dizzy and they'll see stars float around their head going, woohoo, woohoo. Yeah, you know. The moonwalk is in half-speed slow motion. If you speed it up to ×2, the astronauts are clearly in Earth gravity walking normally along stripes. Flag in many photos and videos is shown flapping in the wind. These are all things that come out that show that it's a load of bollocks. You know, load of bollocks. I'll leave you with one key thing. One more key. Did you know that Buzz Aldrin Jr. or Cooper Jr. from the Mercury 9 and Gemini 5, John LEC from the Apollo 7, John Glenn Jr. from Mercury 6, Virgil Grissom, Apollo 1 and Apollo 15, Mercury 5, Gemini 3, James Irwin from Apollo 15, Edgar Mitchell, Apollo 14, Walter Schneer Jr., Apollo 7, Thomas Stafford from Apollo 10 and 18, and Gemini 7 and 9, and Paul Welts are all Masons. So virtually every single person that's gone to the moon or into space are Masons. Another connection there. We'll deal with the Masons later on. So I'll leave you with one more. Did you know that official NASA footage clearly shows an Apollo module taking off from the lunar surface, evidently missing any conventional propulsion systems? What you see is a series of bolts clamping the module to the moon surface explode. Blah, blah, blah. What you see is a series of bolts clamping the module to the moon surface explode, and the module simply floats up into space. Is this evidence of anti-gravity propulsion in use by 1969, or simply a computer-simulated takeoff from Hollywood studios? And on those words, I will now say to you, if you've enjoyed the video, if you've enjoyed this show, tell me what you think. Did you think we landed on the moon? Did you think we didn't? Tell me the whys and pros. Please, I love to hear from you guys. So please let me know. And on that note, if you've enjoyed this show, please hit that thumbs up button. Hit that thumbs up. I need likes. And if you haven't done so already, just please hit the subscribe button, which is down below, just down there somewhere. And when you want to know when the old next video is coming out, just ring that bell, ring-a-ding-a-ling-dong, the bell. And please tell your friends about these shows. Spread the word. That I, Press the Rev, and that Ain't No Vicar is signing off. Until next time. Bye-bye.